I started as a diplomat over 20 years ago, joined the Foreign Office and worked immediately on environmental security, then Turkey. I then did my first stint overseas in Vienna, working for the UK delegation to the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, largely on governance issues in Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union. From there I worked a little on international relations in our International Organisations Department. From there started working on Iran, and Iran was my beginning on the Middle East and this particular region. From working on Iran in London, I was then the Deputy Ambassador in Oman. I then went to Dubai as the Deputy Consul General, but also the Regional Director for Trade for the whole of the Middle East, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And then from there to Riyadh, where I was the Director of Trade for Saudi Arabia. Then to Cairo, where I was the Trade Commissioner for Africa, and now happily to Bahrain. So in the immediate future, I feel a certain responsibility for this very special relationship to keep it in good fettle. That means maintaining the breadth of what we do together, and it's huge. From culture, through education, through trade and prosperity, through climate work. We're coming to the end of hydrocarbon production. We have amazing national talent pools. We're looking to a future of net zero and technological innovation. We can chart a path together for the future because we're remarkably similar nations. And given that parallel viewpoint, it feels right to think together about how we build the relationship from here and where we might be in, say, 10 years' time. There are very few places in the world where our relationship is this strong, and they're arguably at an all-time high as well after a wonderful visit of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister to the UK, which seemed to seal all kinds of different areas of cooperation that we've been working together on and set a path for the future. His Majesty has been in the UK for the coronation of our King, has been more recently to see our King. Things are in truly rude health. Gosh, I mean, there's the parochial and then there's the strategic. So I think at the parochial level, the relationship is so strong and so full of personal relationships and ideas for what more we can do together, that actually some of it's just managing my energy and picking the priorities. So the strategic, I think that the strategic challenges that Bahrain and the UK face are the ones that we're facing globally together. Through to, of course, at the moment, regional security and making sure that we enable our nations to be secure and prosperous. So we really see Bahrain as a leader and an example. This is a nation that believes in peace, that believes in coexistence. You see the King's leadership on that particular issue. The CCPA they've just signed with the US, which is very much about an international framing of security and prosperity. We've enjoyed the same with Bahrain. You know, that message of what's good for our collective prosperity is ultimately good for our collective security. We have, we hope, soon coming a UK GCC free trade agreement. On the back of that kind of initiative, you often will see a new momentum to investment and trade. So trade at the moment is better than it's ever been between our two nations, just over 3 billion. The balance of trade at the moment is what we would call a deficit, so we're importing more than we're exporting from Bahrain. I think for the relative economic sizes of our nations, we should be seeking more of an equilibrium. And one of the things I would like to do is try and encourage more British companies to come here, to set up, to invest, to manufacture, also to export to Bahrain. My ambition would be to do that not just to build up our trade together, but actually to present internationally something quite leading and see if we can create new momentum to the global economy. There are many facets to this relationship, but some of them are about culture, education and exchange. And Bahrain has a rich culture going back thousands of years. Enviable culture in this region, I would say. And for the UK's part, I'm searingly proud of our cultural, sporting, educational and wider offer. I think it's a really important part of our life here that we shout about that but we try and do it together. You can't underestimate how valuable that is to our relationship and the way that we understand one another. On current plans, we should have a senior delegation to the Manama Dialogue, which we always regard as a really important event. And we've got otherwise a really packed November, actually. I mean, you've got COP28 hosted in the GCC. You've got the UK's Global Investment Summit in the UK, to which a number of important Bahraini interlocutors will be coming. So there's a really good rhythm to our bilateral exchange and cooperation at the moment. I think animals are incredibly important. I'm really pleased that we have a pet for my children's sake, because I think learning the care of an animal is a great way to learn consideration, respect for nature and the natural world. I'd really like us to work with Bahrain is on its environment, which is really special, actually, as a part of the sort of climate and sustainability discussion. So around Bahrain, you have a fabulous resource of seagrasses, which are an incredible carbon sink. You also have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the world's second largest population of sea cows, dugongs. So I think, if we can help at all on that, and we've had a fabulous programme through our Centre for Environment, Fisheries and Aquaculture Science, which is a part of the Department of Environment, working quietly with Bahrain on understanding that nature. If we can do more of that, I'd be super proud of that. Well, it's changed a bit, because I would have said music and sport, but I've got a dodgy knee and I've got some orthodontic work going on. So right now I'm a bit thwarted in what I can do with this. I'm also a dad, and as any parent knows, your time is drained when you've got little people around that you need to look after. I love the outdoors. There's something about just being out in the open, experiencing nature around you, which I find incredibly restoring. I have lots of words for the British community in Bahrain. First of all, thank you for being here, for being a rich part of our relationship, for shining a light on what's good about Bahrain in the UK and what's good about the UK and Bahrain. I say this having seen people get into misfortune in the most bizarre of circumstances. It happens to us all at one point or another, and so while things can seem very even, unfortunately events do happen, and so we are here and we are ready to help. We can't do everything, but we will always listen and we will always try.